podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Ed, how are you doing?
I'm doing very well. Why not? We can discuss everything. I can't even say the word discuss, let alone actually discuss everything.
Well, should we start by discussing United's trip to the South Coast and very slow Saturday lunchtime start, followed by a much, much, much better ending?
It was a disgusting first half, wasn't it?
It was indeed. And that doesn't work, but it was a delightful second half. I think that second half is the best half of football we've played for an unspecified, quite long period of time.
Yeah, I think it's probably fair. I mean, if the second half was good, the first half was awful, wasn't it? It's just they could barely string two passes together. Bournemouth looked like the side that was in form, which of course was true coming into the game. 3 points ahead of United, and they were passing around neatly, looked really confident, creating chances. David De Gea had to make a couple of good saves, one really good one with his feet. I think probably Bournemouth went in at halftime feeling very unlucky that they weren't winning that game, but they weren't, But what did they take the lead in something like the 9th minute, and at that point, and for much of, I'd say, about the first half hour of the game, it looked like they were going to win this game.
Yeah, I mean, the goal was anything but a surprise, wasn't it? I mean, they'd already sliced United's defence apart twice by that point. There was the chance that went just wide of the post, I think, from Wilson, and the one that De Gea saved at the near post from Stanislas, maybe. But anyway, that they were both excellent chances. And then the goal, which was United pushing out from a corner and just getting it all wrong and not being able to react when the ball went back to Bournemouth.
Yeah. I mean, I guess Mata was closest to the runner. I mean, it was a beautiful pass cutting out two United players. Mata, who I guess should have been picking up Stanislas on the left-hand side of United's defence, so that Pogba was the other nearest player. Neither of them managed to pick up the runner, and then nobody managed to pick up about 4 Bournemouth players who could have put it in. I mean, it was Wilson in the end, but they were all lined up there. United central defender sleeping, not for the first time this season, and I'm quite sure it won't be the last either. It was just too easy. And Mourinho went bonkers in the dugout, and I wasn't really surprised.
He looked to me like he was shouting, "Of course, of course, of course," which it was how we all felt, I think, pretty much. The television coverage, for those of you who didn't see that and were at the game, the television coverage did something that's happening increasingly at the moment, which is United concede a goal and then it cuts to Chris Smalling's frustrated face, which is a sort of symbol for our defending, really. He was probably the one who let his runner go the furthest away from him inside the box. And, like Juan Mata is not a left-back, is he? So it's probably understandable that he didn't do his left-back duties that well. But
I'm not even convinced it was him that was supposed to push out towards the ball. I mean, he just happened to be closest.
Yeah, and then, and like I said, that was the third of 3 instances where United's defence was sliced properly wide open. And it is absolutely bizarre to me that after 2.5 years of a Jose Mourinho management, United's defensive structure and defensive togetherness is just so utterly shambolic. Like, that is just bizarre.
Well, I mean, a lot of the problem, and is rapidly becoming an agenda, isn't it, is Matic. I mean, obviously not for the goal that United conceded against Bournemouth, but for the amount of chances United concede, he's just not providing a screen. Fred wasn't either. I'm struggling to see what the point of Fred is. Halfway through his first season at United, I mean, it can only get better. I guess. But it's just too easy to get at United at the moment. So, you've got the opposition generally creating far too many chances. We talked about last season when De Gea had to make a lot of saves because United conceded a lot of shots. Now the errors are coming even deeper, but I think a lot of it's because United are under too much pressure and Matic doesn't provide an effective screen in front. I mean, obviously Jose changed the tactics in the second half and basically had 2 screens. But it feels like a priority signing at some point. I don't suppose he'll make the signing in January. It looks like the rumours are that Jose is after a second striker or a backup striker. He's only got the 3 others that can play up there, of course, or 4 others. But it's a real problem for United. I'd make that a priority.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, especially over the laughable idea that what United need is another centre forward, because I think once again today showed that is far, far, far from the truth. So the Fred thing, I mean, I think what Fred is for is energy and moving the ball around quite quickly and pretty neatly a lot of the time. I mean, I don't think he's settled at United yet, and who can blame him? Because has he played 3 games in a row yet? I don't think
I'm
that
not
he
sure.
has.
Yeah,
I mean, certainly. Sorry.
No. I mean, I was just going to say. I mean, he's back in the team. He hasn't often been in the team, has he? Jose likes to make these changes. Sometimes it's hard to spot what it is. Lukaku wasn't in the team today. This time injured, apparently. Although I don't believe anything Jose says ever. So who knows? If he's getting a rest, great. I mean, we talked about that at length last week. Sanchez was back in the team. I mean, he's taken a punishment beating or 2 this season, hasn't he? Marcus was dropped. I mean, he got taken off after 65 minutes last week. His 1 shot at playing centre forward, and he was dropped after that. So, sometimes it feels like a lot of these players can't get a rhythm because they're in and out of the side, and 2 years in, more than 2 years in, and Jose definitely doesn't know his best team, and he's trying combinations. I wouldn't be surprised if Matic isn't the next one to get dropped, and after Herrera's performance in the second half, there's an option there, isn't there?
I did the Full-Time Devils preview before this game and said on there, because, we always predict the starting 11, and I said, I'm sure Matic will play, although Jose does get about 5 games after you think this is untenable, he's surely got to drop him now. He does eventually drop him. He's done it with Lukaku, he's done it with Sanchez, and I'm sure you're right, and Matic will get the treatment, and he deserves it too, because, we criticise Mourinho for moving the team around too much and chopping and changing too much, but he does have to, he has been very, very slow to react to his favourites dropping form, hasn't he?
And Matic was the one he really pushed for as well. So there's, I guess there's some ego at play here as well.
Interesting. So the sort of disaster of the first half, I mean, one of the things that happened, of course, is that Bournemouth were very good, very neat and tidy on the ball, very good at exploiting United's weaknesses. You can see why they're as high up the table as they are. And they also managed to stay relatively defensively resolute for quite a lot of that. But we got the somewhat lucky break, although we did look reasonably bright a couple of times on the counter-attack. There was the Fred chance after about half an hour around the penalty spot from the Anthony Martial ball. And so it wasn't like we were completely devoid of chances. We'd had a couple of moments of getting the ball into the box while Mata had a shot as well. But then Tony Marshall came from France and Alexis Sanchez came from Chile and set him up with a lovely ball. Yeah,
it was a really nice cutback. And this time, Martial, apparently he does score goals that aren't bent into the bottom corner. This one was with his left foot, side-footed in. Very, very composed finish, and he's looking confident. I thought he had a good game all around, apart from the goal. He was trying to get at, especially the second half. I mean, I guess no one really comes out of that first half with too much credit, but especially the second half, he really had a go at Francis down the left-hand side. of Bournemouth's defence, and he's just looking super confident again. To that point though, United definitely didn't deserve an equaliser. Not even close, but nice one it was too.
What did you make of the decision to start a front three of Mata, Sanchez and Martial in this game?
Well, I think Mata is deserving of his place at the moment. Ever since he came on against Newcastle, I think he's been pretty good. I mean, no one really was very good against Juve, I suppose. Sanchez, well, that was an interesting one, isn't it? So if the theory is that Jose likes a big man up front who can hold the ball up, which seems to be the theory, Sanchez is not that. I mean, he was pretty bright, I thought, throughout this game until he got yanked off in the second half. But, it's probably one of his better games for a while. But he's not a Lukaku replacement. Tony Martial might be a more interesting Lukaku replacement, but I think Jose's decided that he's never going to play him up front. I'm not sure. He's played him up front more than a handful of times in 2.5 years. And Rashford is clearly not what he wants up there because he didn't get much more than an hour last week. So trying another one. We'll see. If Lukaku is out for Wednesday, does he play Sanchez there again? He probably does. And I'm not sure. He's the kind of player who's going to cause Bonucci and co a real problem. But there you go. I mean, it was. I kind of feel sorry for Rashford. I'm rambling a bit, but I think I said this last week as well. I feel like he deserves a run of games, and he's 21 today. He's had 2.5 years under Jose, and it doesn't feel like he's made much progress. And I don't know how he can if he's never in the team.
Sanchez had 2 shots, 2 key passes. We'll come back to the Rashford thing in a bit. Not brilliant numbers by any stretch of the imagination. That very telling contribution for the goal. But, I think what's clear at the moment is that it's probably fair to say that Sanchez's best position in United's side at the moment will be to be playing up front through the middle. But that doesn't mean it's United's best option in the assumption that Lukaku's out of form or injured. Because Anthony Martial, I mean, maybe you could say, well, this is partly because Martial hasn't been playing there. So, you know how players get a bigger reputation when they're injured or whatever. Could be a bit like that. But to me, Anthony Martial is so far and ahead the obvious choice to play at centre forward, and could have played Sanchez on the left. Even when Rashford came on, you could have played Rashford on the left and put Martial through the middle. And it was like basically from the penalty spot that Martial scored. He was right in the kind of centre forward position at that point.
In this kind of, when he's confident, if he's playing in a more central position, he's going to score a lot of goals. Yeah. So, I guess Jose likes the fact that he'll run with the ball down the left-hand side if he's in this kind of form and can cut in and shoot from that left-hand side.
Can he sort of curl the ball in the far corner? Is that what you're saying?
I've heard he likes that kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay.
So, yeah, I suppose you could say United have a lot of options, although Jose manages to narrow it down by insisting that basically 3 players go into 1 on the left-hand side.
Yeah, we couldn't say that, but of course in the last 2 games, Rashford played centre-forward and then Alexis Sanchez played centre-forward. So maybe in the last 2 games, Mourinho has gone a different direction. Rashford came on, of course, and made a telling contribution at the end of a second half where it's very fair to say that United absolutely without question deserved the victory. I mean, if you look at the data, 2.98 XG for United, which is the highest XG they've generated all season. I looked it up. Only in the league. I didn't look up the Champions League, but I'm going to say this is more than we generated against Young Boys in that game. Pogba really should have scored in that one that sort of bobbled around. Marcus Rashford had the shot that was blocked, and then Pogba had the shot that kind of almost went over the line but didn't.
They both should have scored. Yeah. Clearly, only one of them could have scored, but both of them should have scored.
Yeah, absolutely. So they were big chances. There was the Luke Shaw chance from the angle, where I think he had better options than shooting, to be honest. It was maybe a little rush of blood to the heady from Shaw, though I guess you can't really complain about someone shooting from 7 yards out, can you?
No, I mean, if that's a forward, they score from there. 0.34 XG on that one. So 0.67 and 0.59 on the Pogba and Rashford chances.
Yeah, so they should have scored, 2 out of 3 times in Pogba's case. And then it looked like it wasn't going to happen. And it looked like a sort of draw, which was a kind of fair result if you kind of say, well, Bournemouth won the first half and United won the second half. But that's not the way it ended, because young Wash in the end did his thing. It was lovely to see Jesse Lingard back on the pitch, and Lingard just improves Rashford so much. I think they play so well together. There was just one little layoff between the two of them that just looked telepathic, and you can see that Rashford feels more comfortable when Lingard's around too. And it did make a big difference. And United just pushed so hard at that point, and definitely deserved a goal.
Yeah, for the second half, absolutely. Yeah, and the devil is in the details, I guess. Bournemouth didn't get their goal when they were really on top in that first half. You could say they were unlucky not to win that half by a goal.
Yeah,
and United deserved to win the second half by a goal. So,
yeah.
In the details, it's going to feel better than it really was as a performance, because United were great in the second half, but that first half was abysmal. And like many first halves recently, Everton, I guess, wasn't abysmal in the first half, but a lot recently have been. I guess it's just, random. Jose said after the game that he told them at half-time that he was going to be positive because that was the worst they could play, so it could only get better from there.
It's like he didn't watch West Ham away.
Right. Yeah. But that's the thing, I don't want to sound all glass half empty, but that performance in the first half against a better team than Bournemouth, and they're a good team, United could have been heavily down. I mean, if United are like that at City next weekend, the game's lost at half-time, isn't it?
Well, no, we'll be 2-0 down at half-time and win 3-2, if history is any indicator. Talking of things that Jose said, which I guess we should, in a way, I feel like a moratorium on discussing things that Jose Mourinho said would do well for all of our emotional well-being, but this is a Man United podcast and he is the Man United manager, so I suppose we have to pay it some attention. Apparently it's because we had a tough fixture list that things are rough at the moment. Yeah.
I was struggling with that one. Who have we played that's so tough?
We played Spurs at home. That was difficult. We lost 3-0. We certainly made it look difficult. Leicester at home, Brighton away, Spurs at home, Burnley, Watford, Wolves, Derby, West Ham, a terrible Valencia, Newcastle, who haven't won a game all season, and then like Chelsea away. I'll give him that we've had 2 difficult fixtures this season. A tough Champions League group as well, Ed.
Apparently, this is an abysmal Valencia side, and of course, it's a very good Juve side, of course. But
yes,
you would expect to get a very good side in the group, wouldn't you? Especially since United are not seeded, having not done very well in Champions League in recent seasons.
Yeah.
So, he's obviously talking nonsense.
Maybe he's talking about...
mean, you could have Spurs' fixture list. They're playing 4 times in 9 days at the moment. Then again, it is partly their fault because they haven't got a stadium that will actually work.
Maybe he's confused and he's thinking about, we played Liverpool, we played Bayern Munich, these are big teams, and he's thinking about pre-season.
Yeah. Anyway, what else to say about the Bournemouth game? It's 3 points up to 7th.
Yeah, I said. I mean, it is an important 3 points because it is not inconceivable that United will get 4th place in the league, I suppose. But it all feels like we're in a holding pattern now until Mourinho goes. And whether that's whether there's some... whether there's some courage in the boardroom and that happens sooner rather than later, or whether they sort of acquiesce to improved results, such as being able to beat the mighty Cherries with all their hundreds of millions of pounds of backing.
Yeah. Well, look, we'll see. It's 11 games into the season. United are 2 points off the Champions League places, so it's not a total disaster, is it?
6 points off the top, to be honest. I mean, I know most of the teams haven't played yet that are above us, but still.
Yeah, it's the comeback. The comeback is on. So look, it's definitely not inconceivable. Spurs. It was actually one of their best ever starts to the Premier League. Although I think that's more testament to how poorly they have tended to start than how they started this time.
All right, Ed. I tell you, I heard that United rant the other day. I got the raving hump with him for what he said. I got the raving needle. Honestly, I can't stop thinking about it. For those of you who have somehow missed this story, Gary Neville had a rant, that's the only way to describe it, about Spurs' historic spinelessness, patheticness, just basically saying that every Spurs team before Pochettino should all be lined up against the wall and shot for being an embarrassment to football, is what he more or less said. And then Harry Redknapp was asked about this and sort of said, players like Luke Modric and Gareth Bale, you can't be saying that sort of thing about them. We had an excellent side, we did. And then he was asked by the interviewers, have you got a message for Gary Neville? And he said, I wouldn't want to talk to him, to be honest. I got the raving hump. And he was getting really angry and angrier. I got the raving hump with him. I tell you, I got the raving needle with him. The raving needle.
I don't know, but it sounds scary.
Yeah, anyway, so now he's got the raving needle with you for slagging Tottenham off as well.
Apparently, Pochettino is unhappy. I mean, we mentioned last week he's been saying things like it's the worst part of his time at Tottenham. They obviously haven't got any money. Lots of questions about the stadium, questions about players staying, and whether they're going to have to sell to finance exactly how much debt will they have after this is all completed. So be interesting as Eddie Howe goes to Spurs in the summer and Poch comes to United.
Yeah, it's not impossible, is it? It's definitely not impossible. And the recording on a Saturday afternoon means that you sort of don't really know what's happened with this weekend's fixtures in terms of shaping the league. But, at the time of recording, City have conceded 15 fewer goals than us. That's quite a lot for 11 games into our season, 10 games into theirs.
Only one clean sheet this season in the league.
Yeah, that's not a lot of clean sheets. And again, I in recent weeks we've become increasingly critical of Jose Mourinho as the performances have degraded, I guess, and something like that. And his off the pitch comments have got more and more and more narcissistic and like they're coming from a parallel universe where he's responsible for Anthony Martial's return to form. Idiot. So there's been more and more criticism of it, but obviously he has skills as a football manager. And one of his most impressive skills over the years has been to build these absolutely awesome defences. And he just hasn't got close to doing it with the current crop at United. And maybe the tools are just not there, or maybe his kind of enthusiasm for coach. I mean, he did say, in fairness, something that seemed quite reasonable in his post-match in this game, which is he doesn't think that people watching this game would believe how hard United had worked during the week on their kind of pressing and defensive threat management, essentially.
Yeah, but United last season, David De Gea won the Golden Glove, right? So for having the most clean sheets, something has clearly gone wrong. It's basically the same players. In fact, it's an upgrade because he has Luke Shaw this season. So a lot of this is Mourinho's problem to fix. And I guess he's trying hard and he's not being able to do it. He's definitely got a problem with Matic, who has stepped backwards. He wasn't that good last season, to be honest, in the second half. And I think, to be honest, I think everyone was blinded that he was any good to start with because he came in and made some nice passes and scored a goal against Crystal Palace or whatever. But so it's definitely a problem. But yeah, it feels like they could do better, for sure. I mean, Jose, it's his thing, isn't it?
Yeah, and he said it's not just the defence, it's the team structure as a whole, and that makes me kind of wonder whether we really will see Matic having a bit of a time on the bench because I do think it's reached that point, and it's not true to say that Mourinho doesn't react to these things because he does. It just seems to take a long time. What do you put United's great improvement in the second half down to? What do you think were the things that really shifted and shaped the nature of this performance?
Well, there wasn't a massive change until Herrera came on, and Herrera came on for Fred, basically in the same role, right? I don't think I'm misremembering that.
No, it was the double substitution.
Rashford came on for whom? Mata. So more direct. United that's probably true. United went a bit more direct as well. And Herrera provided an awful lot of energy. He also actually, it's not like he just sat in front of the back four. He certainly provided a bit more security than Fred did. But he got forward. He had a couple of really good shots. One cracking one with his left foot where he sort of tried to cushion it into the far corner. Just missed. So I guess being more direct and more energy in central midfield. I couldn't tell you what's happening mentally with them to repeatedly have these dire performances in the first half and come out and be much better in the second. This wasn't quite Newcastle, was it? This wasn't desperation.
No.
And that this was just a better all-round performance. Same happened against Chelsea, of course, as well. Just a bit more impetus, a bit more direct, getting ball into the channels, playing some nicer football, being less passive. Maybe that's the most important thing, when United are on the front foot and not just playing on the break. In the first half, I think United had something like 45% possession, or maybe a bit less. And when they play on the front foot, it just looks a much better team.
One of the things I wanted to say about this game, which I'm glad I just remembered, is I had a great time watching this game. Obviously, the first half was frustrating in parts, although there was some comedy to it, given how terrible our defending is. It is quite funny. But generally speaking, I thought it was a cracking game of football with two teams, by the end of the game, two teams who'd really, really had a good go at trying to win this football match. And talk a lot about how it isn't just about wanting United to win stuff. It is about wanting United to have some sort of identity. And the sort of the recent character that they've shown, I've really been pleased to see. And we hammer Mourinho all the time, and maybe this is happening in spite of Mourinho, and certainly tactically it sometimes feels like it is. But he's definitely getting some sort of tune out of them sometimes at the moment.
Yeah. I don't know if I want to praise their character too much, because I see the flip side of that coin, which was the first half, right? Just because they perform better in the second half, is that about character? I don't know about that. I don't know. Well, is Mourinho getting a greater tune out of them? Maybe, but it's not consistent. Absolutely not.
Oh, no.
That's a huge part of United's problem. 2.5 years in.
No, I'm not saying everything's brilliant or there aren't serious problems. I'm just saying there are glimpses of. I actually do think it. I think it shows there is a problem in terms of character that they're not starting well. But I do think it shows some resilience and something in the realm of the character of the players and the team that they've kind of dug in over and over again recently.
True, and the goal came very, very late, didn't it?
Yeah, it did.
And United were pushing towards the end. Word for some of the Bournemouth performances. Nathan Ake, I thought excellent.
Yes.
In Bournemouth central defence. They bought him for what? Just a little less than 20 million or something like that from Chelsea. He's worth double, triple that now, I guess. He's gonna if he keeps progressing like this, he's gonna want to move on. He's certainly better than any of our central defenders, you'd say, on current form.
I bet you Anything you like, though, if you put him in our central defence, he'd look like one of our central defenders at the moment.
Yeah, maybe there's a great defender in Chris Smalling waiting to come out.
Well, there is. I don't think that's a maybe. It's just the problem is when the great defender in Chris Smalling is there, there's an absolutely terrible defender waiting to come out.
All right, what have we got? Bournemouth victory, great. We've got something of a tougher away fixture in midweek.
I just wanted to say before we move on from the Bournemouth game, one last point. Ashley Young's free kick was well nice. Well nice. It would have been really lovely if that had gone in, hit the underside of the crossbar, and very, very, very close to being a goal.
Very. When's the last time we scored a free kick? Seems like it's been a while.
Like 3 days ago? No, it was Newcastle Mata scored a peach.
That's right. So not 3 days ago then.
Not 3 days ago, but not ages ago either.
All right. Juve, Wednesday.
Oh, crikey.
In Turin.
Listen, can we just preview the 1999 game against Juve in
let's
Turin?
do that. Yeah.
Well, obviously we're up against it with the away goals, but you know, if there's ever been a Man United side in history that can travel to Turin believing that they can get something out of this game, it's a team that's playing York and Cole up front with Roy Keane captain in it.
What do you reckon's going to happen? Yeah.
Well, listen, I'm a bit worried because both Keane and Scholes are on a yellow, which
they'll be all right. No way, they're going to be fine for the final. Have we played? I'm having a total blank on this one. Have we played Juve in the new stadium? Because of course that one in '99 was at Stadio degli Alpi. This is at the new Juve stadium, or I think it's called Allianz Stadium these days.
What year did they move into that?
Like maybe 4 or 5 years ago.
We haven't played them in the last 4 or 5 years, I don't think.
No.
Not in a competitive game, anyway. Not in a competitive game. So I think we played them not long after '99, didn't we? We played them again in the 2000s in the Champions League. But
well, there you go. It's compact. It's not a big. It's not like they. Italian football isn't that well supported anyway, and I guess they were building for what they thought would be their crowd, which is just over 40,000.
Because they all hated the Stadio dell'Alpi, didn't they? It was
it was out of town, and it had a running track, and pretty much the only useful thing was all the space around it for fighting. Which
I'm sure was taken up in ample measure. But it's one of my favourite grounds in history because Roy Keane.
Because Roy Keane.
Do we have to? I suppose we have to preview this actual game.
We have to preview this actual game in which we are going to get battered. I
thought we were going to get battered in the first game, and we
did get battered.
We got battered 1-0, didn't we?
Yeah.
So what kind of form are you in at the moment?
Well, they won at the weekend. Well, last weekend beat Empoli. They're playing Cagliari on Sunday night, so we don't know. Maybe they'll get beaten for the first time this season. Fingers crossed. Yeah, obviously they're in great form. Have been all season. They're a really top quality side, and that's going to be United's problem. I think the bigger question is what kind of United performance are we going to get? Can United do anything to get on the front foot? Because it was so passive against Juve in that first game. Maybe they're just too good and we couldn't get the ball. But when United had a go in the second half, it looked better, didn't it?
Yes, and I don't understand what merit there would be in going there and sort of trying to nick a 1-0 or unless Mourinho really believes that's the only way he's ever going to get 3 points. But I think we've seen over and over and over again that maybe there's a couple of exceptions to that in a few games in his tenure at United, but being on the front foot just suits us so much better because there's no doubt that we've got the quality to cause Juventus problems. It's just that, obviously they're going to cause us massive problems. But the thing is, even if we go there to spoil and properly park the bus, do we honestly believe that having been unable to achieve, 45 minutes of defensive stability against Bournemouth, we're going to be able to do it for 90 minutes against a much better side in Juventus?
No, I don't believe that. I think we'll get battered if we do that. No, I mean, I do think it's right for United to get on the front foot on this one. I think this is the best chance.
Yeah.
So we don't have the defensive tools in the box to play, to park the bus and go there and win 1-0. I don't think. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. But every single United performance over the last year or so that has had any merit has been when United try and give it a go, as in Chelsea in the second half, as for the full 90 against Everton, as in the second half against Bournemouth here, and as in the second half against Juve.
Yeah. So, do we think we're going to see a Mata, Sanchez, Martial front three again?
Be interesting. I mean, I would imagine Jose would give anything to have Lukaku back. Despite his poor form, just having the big man up there and playing the way that Jose does like to play, like no one in Marcel Rashford, Mata or Sanchez is going to hold the ball up. So it's going to be hard for the typical Jose away performance. It can play sort of zippy football on the break, but given I imagine the United are not going to have very much possession, will be pretty deep. It's still going to be hard to do that, right? Very hard to break from deep positions. So I imagine he would do anything to have Lukaku in this game.
And what's absolutely crazy about this line of thinking, which I completely agree with you that has been the dominant line of thinking, is that Lukaku is not good at holding the ball up. I know I said this last week, but it's so clearly true that those strikers you talked about aren't much worse at holding the ball up than Lukaku.
No.
So, there we go. I'm sure Juve will be playing a full-strength side against us. They're sort of coasting through this group. A draw would be a perfectly good result for them. They might not have their foot on the pedal in a dramatic fashion in this game because they are effectively through. At this point, it would be a complete disaster for them not to get through from here. So maybe we've got that going for us. You do see group stage games where big teams don't really perform, especially since it's decreasingly obvious that teams finishing top of their Champions League groups, that there's been lots and lots of tricky second round fixtures, haven't there, lately?
Well, very true. Yeah, do they take the foot off the gas 3 games into the group, 4 games into the group? I don't know. Do they ever take the foot off the gas, this team?
Are they ever off the gas in Juventus? Now, come on. That was for satire. Just to be very clear, this is not a Football League situation. I guess we should talk about Football Leagues, actually, talking of things that have happened in football. But before we do that, how do you fancy taking some Twitter questions?
Okay, let's take some questions. So, a friend of the show, Simon Stevens, says, who do you want to win the league? Off, Simon. Off. United. I want United to win the league. Anything else, I want the earth to fall into the sun.
What, you'd rather that the earth fell into the sun than like Bournemouth won the league?
Well, yeah. But really, there's only 2 choices.
The glorious, racist, homophobic, Russian gangster-led Chelsea could, racist, homophobic manager and Russian gangster owner could win the league.
Yeah, he's in the White House, isn't he? Anyway, I would probably rather City won it. This may be sacrilege to some people, but I don't consider them to be a real team. So that's, I think that's better than Liverpool win it. God, I just couldn't. It'd be awful.
It's very convenient, and it's very convenient to be able to just write off City and go, it's financial doping, doesn't count anyway. But that means that technically Liverpool did win the league in whatever the season when they finished second to City was.
No, they could finish second, didn't they? Come on. Yeah. Friend of the show, Chris Etchingham, 77, says, would you rather have United's issue at the minute or Real Madrid's? Whoosh. Did We talked about Real Madrid last week and the manager potentially getting sacked. He got sacked like an hour after we recorded the show or something like that. They now have Solari in charge, former player, the B team manager. They've got some problems, Real Madrid.
I know just the man to solve them for him as well.
Yeah, Jose.
Troubleshooter, can go in there, sort out the dressing room. There'll be no messing about.
Antonio Conte.
Especially now that Sergio Ramos has basically lost it. So you could just get Jose in charge. Be perfect. Absolutely perfect. He needs to rebuild his reputation. Save United 20 million quid. Be a delightful situation. But the truth is, I think I'd rather have our issues than theirs, because I think one of the things is that they don't have any money.
Maybe they don't. We don't spend any money. Well, that's not quite true, is it?
So
I don't know. Look, there are obviously some financial challenges at Real Madrid because they have a significant amount of debt, and they do want to do some rebuilding at the Bernabeu. But they still pull in piles and piles of revenue.
Yeah.
Not far behind United. Anyway, maybe there's a player we could sell to them. There are rumours of Sanchez moving in January, says Tarek Amir, friend of the show, friend of the site.
It's all friends.
All friends, yeah, just friends. Grease us, and you can be a friend too. If that proves to be the case, who do you think will get to keep the piano? And on a serious note, do you think Jose Mourinho is actually affecting anything positive, or is the team effectively managing itself? That's two questions. That's cheating. We keep the piano, or whoever the film rental company that we rented it off, they get to keep the piano. I don't imagine anyone is going to buy Sanchez, at least not for any kind of money. And we effectively swapped him for a £30 million player, but he's on such a massive, massive wage. It rules him out of all but about 3 clubs on the planet.
Yeah, I mean, listen, if he wants to take that piano to Paris, that's just fine. Neymar goes to Madrid. I mean, I've just said they've got no money, but assuming that's not true, Neymar goes Madrid, and they get in Alexis Sanchez to replace him in Paris. I'm sure he'd do brilliantly in the French league. Be perfect for him. What was the second question?
Is Jose actually affecting change?
A great question.
Or is the team managing itself?
See, my instinctual answer there is that this is about the team and the collective to an extent, but I also am very, very wary about confirmation bias in this regard, because I've basically written off Jose Mourinho in my own head. But I don't know if that's like I said last week. I've been thinking a lot about being wrong lately and how we're all wrong about stuff sometimes, and you can get very attached to your own opinions about stuff.
True. Notorious Dev says, is Paul still enjoyed Twitter via the bifurcated minute-by-minute handle?
No.
Bifurcated minute-by-minute handle says, he said, mind your own business.
I mean, I enjoy Twitter via them in the sense that occasionally I'll look at bifurcated_MBM, aka the greatest Twitter account on the internet, but I have nothing to do with producing it.
Of course, talking of Twitter accounts, you returned to Twitter briefly this week.
I reactivated my account because I had to do that, otherwise I would lose it.
At which point, all the bots I've hired to send you abuse piled in the abuse.
I mean, I did get one genuine piece of abuse in the 20 minutes I was back on Twitter, and I was like,
nice. What was the abuse?
I don't really want to repeat it, but it was like, oh yeah, this is why I hate this evil cesspit. I did want to tweet though, rather than just activate my account and deactivate it, just so I could publicly say that everything that Ed has said about me on this platform in the last year has been a lie.
Yeah, but now I get about 364 days or 3 days or whatever it is to abuse you as much as I like, and you can't defend yourself.
Well, I don't need to. This is a rope-a-dope situation, and I'm letting you punch yourself out.
Kieran Coyle says, now we've got rid of Lukaku, how do we get rid of Matic and Smalling?
I think patience is the key. I don't think we're ever going to get rid of Chris Smalling. I think another manager's going to come in and be like, there's a player in there somewhere. Maybe I can get the best out of him, and he'll end up with 500 United appearances. Congratulations, Chris, on your 300 United appearances. Every last one of them well deserved. But Matic, I think we like we've been talking about on the show so far. I think he's next in line for a benching.
Yeah. Patrick McGongle says, with the attacking talent up front, why do we always look so pedestrian and have no ideas when we go forward? Well, it wasn't quite the case in the second half. Example, Bournemouth's first goal, there were 4 of their players in our 6-yard box. That never happens at all with United. That's kind of true. I mean, they piled players in there, although they did have an overload on the right-hand side, and all our defenders were asleep.
I mean, it does tend to be... I mean, we had... At the end there, we had Pogba, Lingard, Martial, Rashford all in the box together. Oh, we didn't even say, like, Pogba's ball for the Rashford goal, the little skill and then...
The dink,
The skill
Beautiful.
to get the space and then the dink. Just what a player. Everyone that doesn't rate Pogba can just go away, in my opinion.
Sam Flint, this is at Flinchier __. I think it's cheating having 2 underscores. Anyway, which is faster, Matic turning once the ball has been knocked past him, or the melting of the polar ice caps?
I'm like, unfortunately, because it means we're all going to die, it's the melting of the polar ice caps.
Maybe we'll get some sun.
I mean, we did, didn't we, this summer? But unfortunately, like, enjoy it while it lasts, because
all those Southern European players will be moving to Manchester to get their old weather. Something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Mika Latonen, basically a friend of the show now because he sends in a question every week. What is Mourinho's obsession with constantly tinkering with the few parts of the team that actually are working while ignoring constant problems like Young and Smalling? Yeah, I don't know whether tinkering with the forward line, which is what he tends to do a lot, whether it's actually working. I think he's tinkering because it's not working.
But when it does start working, he does tend to mess it up in one way or another. I'm not sure Ashley Young is a massive part of United's problem, though, in the moment. That's the one bit of that I kind of disagree with.
No, he's done all right. I mean, the option is Valencia, who's coming back from injury, posted on his Twitter account, Instagram account, one of them, videos of him training to strike fear into the heart of all Manchester United fans anywhere.
I thought you were going to say opposition. I really did.
And Diogo Dalot.
I forgot about him.
Yeah, forgot about him. Yeah.
He looked good, didn't he? But anyway. We're out of the Carling Cup, so there'll be no him.
Born and Red says, why doesn't Ander Herrera play every game for United? It's a good question, isn't it? When he can put in performances like that, and those that he did during his first season under Mourinho, he would be a massive addition to the side, surely.
I mean, I'll never understand Ander Herrera's Man United career. I'll never understand what was going on, why his managers have treated him the way they've treated him. Why? I mean, I guess it's because he's willing, and so you can take more liberties with a player like that in a way. And he has put in some absolute stinkers, to be fair, as well. But yeah, I mean, I would have him in the side every week without question.
Luis Figo with Z. I can't remember how Luis Figo was actually. I think it was with an S, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Do you find the negative narrative from commentary / pundits tedious? Look, off, Luis. We'll say whatever we like, all right?
Yeah, clearly we do not find it. I mean, actually, you know what? I do find the obsession with the negative in football co-commentary utterly baffling and frustrating. I would love to do a sociological study which kind of looks at the percentage of remark which is passed in the negative rather than the positive in football coverage.
And I think Gary Neville has become more like that. He was all about his analysis when he first joined Sky, and now he has almost become a little bit of a parody of himself in order to feel like he's saying something of value. It's negative. And I think that's why a lot of the pundits do it.
Honestly, I've got a raving needle with him.
Jay McKeown, Esquire, says, best, most successful long con ever. Bernie Madoff or Chris Smalling?
301 Man United games. I mean, Bernie Madoff did make a lot of money, to be fair. But,
so is Chris Smalling, to be fair.
Yeah, Chris Smalling's less likely to end up in prison, isn't he?
Yeah, true, although that man bun, I would say, is a crime fit for prison.
Is that a man? That's not a man bun.
It's a bun of some kind.
Long cornrows, isn't it? It's like cornrows with little bits at the back.
Landro says, who's the best player to replace Matic in defensive midfield? Mo_Tiller says, Conte. I think that's the right answer.
Eh ben oui. Honestly, if we got N'Golo Kante, I would be the happiest half Frenchman in the land.
Seems unlikely, doesn't it? And we'll leave with this one because I think this is a fair question. Anthony Whitaker says, why do Man United fans sing Jose Mourinho's name even though he is wank? Because, you see, I mean, it's two great questions in one there, really. Why do United fans continue to sing his name? Because United supporters do that.
Yeah.
And I think even David Moyes got continuous support right to the end. And is Jose wank? Yeah, probably.
Dave Sexton's Red and White Army. United fans. I'm pretty sure that Everton away, the game before he was sacked, was the last time David Moyes' name wasn't sung at a United game.
All right, shall we move on from questions? There's another game after Juve. After we've been battered by Juve, we get to get battered by City.
We did not get battered by Chelsea, a game in which I was thoroughly expecting to get battered. Last season, I was completely convinced that City were going to beat us to win the league, and we beat them. So my rampant pessimism about this game is tempered by some realism and the possibility that we might actually put some stuff together and be able to... I mean, we can clearly cause City problems, can't we?
Sure, yeah. If we have enough of the ball, and we won't have much of the ball, can definitely cause City problems. Did so last season. And, City have started the season very well. A couple of draws in there to spoil their excellent record, I suppose, but they are scoring freely. Scored quite a lot more than Liverpool, who always get the praise for being so attacking. Have conceded, 1, 2, 3 goals at the time of speaking. They play Southampton on Sunday, so I'm not...
And so they've conceded
3
goals by the time you listen to this.
They play Shakhtar Donetsk in midweek at home, I think.
Yeah.
1 second, let me get... Yeah, that's right. So, not going to have to worry about a long trip to Ukraine. And not that United's trip to Turin is a particularly long flight or anything, but, that's definitely an advantage. So all the cards in their favour, I'd say.
Yeah,
maybe this means to use Bournemouth players. Steve Cook, he said before the United game, he said we used to feel like this was a free hit. Now there's some pressure because we feel like we can actually have a go at them, or we need to have a go at them because Bournemouth were playing well. Maybe this is a free hit for United.
Oh, how far and how quick we done fell.
Well, to be fair, it's been 5 years in the making.
The thing about last season's game is it was absolutely amazing. It was so fun. It was like easily the best bit about last season by miles. But we were dreadful for 60 of the 90 minutes of that game, like absolutely dreadful. And we were very, very, very fortunate that they didn't take further of a Gundogan chance, which he skewed just like above, over and wide to make it 3-0, but just generally that they didn't take fuller advantage of their chances, and that we basically scored with every single chance we could have scored from. It's going to probably take something like that again. I mean, the real problem with analysing this game on a Manchester United fan podcast is it's very difficult to say Man City are miles and miles and miles better than us at the moment. So if we beat them, it will be because we played above ourselves or got lucky.
Yeah, objectively, they are miles and miles better than United. But that doesn't mean that United haven't got very good players and can pull out a performance. Do you think we'll get a Jose tactical masterclass? Anything weird going to come up?
He doesn't seem to do that against Guardiola, really. They sort of tacticked each other a bit in that first game. You know, the one where Daley Blind left Kevin De Bruyne alone, saying, "Now don't do anything dangerous. I'll be back in half an hour to find you." And then De Bruyne scored. But there was a lot of sort of substitutions and punches and counter punches in that game. But since then, it's all been quite prosaic, really. Nobody's played a full-back in central midfield or anything.
No. I mean, of course, Liverpool have kind of shown the pattern. You beat City by relentlessly pressing them and giving them no time on the ball to weave their pretty patterns. United never relentlessly press anybody.
No,
ever.
You probably need to spend every waking hour practicing to become the sort of team that does that in order to be able to do it to City, don't you? Because you can't press City like headless chickens, otherwise they'll slice you into pieces. They love being badly pressed. It's being really kind of elegantly and effectively pressed that's difficult for them.
Yeah, true. So how do you think this game will play out? What's the pattern?
I mean, the norm, the expected outcome, the expected normal pattern of events will be loads of possession for City. United try and keep their shape but aren't able to, and go a goal or two down and then come out punching. Like that's what I would say is probably the most likely pattern of play to happen. Obviously, City will have tons and tons of possession. It's interesting. I guess the Juve game will show us a lot about what Mourinho's team selection will be in this game. But one thing you'd want Jesse Lingard in there. I would want Juan Mata in there. What I'd love to see would be like a front three of Martial, Lingard and Mata. But that's obviously not going to happen. Or maybe even a 4-2-3-1.
Just throw them all in there.
Yeah.
Lukaku, Rashford up front, Martial... and Sanchez on the wings, Mata just behind them at number 10. Jesse in midfield with Pogba.
I mean, genuinely, there's probably worse ideas than that for trying to get a win. Although, I mean, City will put immense pressure on our back four, and our back four will probably crack, and maybe Dave will save everything, or maybe someone will hit the ball into an area that he literally can't, and that'll be it. I mean, I don't know how, other than the kind of like, we've done it a lot recently where we've been expected to be terrible and haven't. I can't really see any reasonable reason to believe that this is going to be anything other than what we think it is.
All right. Well, on that lovely note, is there anything else to talk about this week?
Rio Ferdinand's getting married again.
He is. I didn't know he was courting anybody.
You see, that's I did because of Instagram. They've been courting for a while, and he's getting married, and I think that's obviously very nice for him because he's been through some very difficult stuff.
He has. He has a reputation for repeatedly courting outside of his main courting. I hope he doesn't do that this time. No, if you're listening, Rio, be a good boy.
I think he's maybe grown up quite considerably, Rio Ferdinand. I think it's probably fair to say. We didn't talk about the Leicester thing at all last week.
We didn't. It's mainly because I have absolutely no idea how to pronounce the now former owner's name. But that was brutal, wasn't it? The helicopter coming down just yards from the stadium and 5 people dying.
Just absolutely awful. Pilot is weirdly a friend of my mum's, and it was just such a terrible thing that happened, such a terrible thing for football. And we talk so much about bad football ownership, and one of the things that gets kind of linked to bad football ownership is the word foreign. And like foreign owner means like has this really loaded connotation, whereas actually, if you compare Mike Ashley to the man who passed away in the helicopter crash, that there's no comparison in terms.
What was his name?
I'm afraid that I have not learnt to pronounce it either. I probably should have done if I'd thought about that we were going to speak about this. I just didn't want to get to the end of the show without just saying, this is a person who obviously there is a tendency when people die that people don't want to speak ill of the dead and, all these kinds of things. And sometimes things get a bit aggrandized. But every single thing coming out of every single person involved with the club, Kasper Schmeichel's kind of really poignant and moving tribute, and just this kind of like obvious sense that this person was extremely invested in Leicester as a city as well as the club. A real proper loss for the world of football. And there's really been a kind of football-wide outpouring of grief over this.
Yeah, right. Leicester won today, beat Cardiff.
Right.
Demarai Gray's goal, and it was pretty emotional, I'd say, that game. And then the Leicester players are heading out to Thailand. There's a week of funerals for Kun Vichai. I'm going to just give him his nickname. He's basically been given a state funeral by the Thai king, so held in standing in Thailand as well, it'll be extremely interesting time. Well, that's the wrong word, isn't it? Extremely difficult time for Leicester as a club now. Having lost the owner, how does that impact players, management, and what kind of management do they get coming in now? Yeah,
and just from the United fan perspective, certain ex-Man United fanzines don't speak for United fans and are so edgy. It's pathetic.
Yeah, but
grown men.
That joke was pretty obvious, and we got that joke several times last week in the podcast question, so which I ignored.
Yeah, grown men.
Don't you? I clearly I have grown up because I didn't make that joke myself.
Yeah.
Once upon a time, I may have done.
I don't know. Yeah, it's just the relentless lack of humanity does my head in. So let's try and be human. Let's try and be human. There's going to be a lack of joy, I think it's probably fair to say. Basically, I think we've got 2 free hits coming up. This plucky mid-table Man United on their amazing adventure in the Champions League, which no one could have seen coming. Get a trip to Turin. The players will really just appreciate the day out. And then they get to go and play like Pep Guardiola's amazing side and see what good football looks like close up. What a week for United's excitable youngsters. What the scores?
How far are we done, Phil? I would like to get back to the time when this is not a free hit and we are genuine contenders. But what do I think the score's going to be? I think we're going to lose 2-0 in Turin and 3-1 at City.
I think we're going to beat Juventus 3-2 with goals from York, Cole and Keane. And I think we are going to beat City 1-0 with a late winner from Paul Scholes.
Yeah, all right. That's good choices, yeah. Welcome to Rankcast minus 47.
Yeah, exactly. No, we covered that game where Scholes scored the late winner and Gary Neville kissed him. That's True. How long we've been doing this show.
We've been doing this crap for years and you still listen.
Thank you very much for everyone for listening.
Leave us a review in iTunes because that helps other mugs find us too.
Brilliant. Thank you. And talking of mugs, patreon.com/rankcast if you want one. Good one. All right. Take care of yourselves and we'll see you next week.
All right. Bye now.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Rankcast, which was, as always, brought to you by the good people who choose to back us at patreon.com/rankcast. And if you want to do that, back us at $5 a month plus VAT. You get a little bit of extra content each week. And this week we talked about players who've played for both Manchester United and Juventus. A player that Pogba knows very well from both clubs and country. An absolute legend of both the game and Manchester United. One Patrice Evra, Uncle Pat, Tonton Pat, whose arrival at Juve added a dimension to Pogba's game, I think both on and off the pitch, because, you can see from the infamous social media that that Patrice Evra and Paul Pogba were very, very good friends, and that there was a genuine sort of mentor-mentee relationship between the two of them. And on the pitch, Evra played left wing back and Pogba played on the left of midfield at one of the best periods of either of their careers. I mean, definitely the right thing for Evra to move to Serie A. Like, definitely he was able to impact the games, and his weaknesses were better hidden, I think.
I think that's fair, yeah. I mean, he played 2 very good seasons at Juve, and then less in his third season, 80 games in total. Of course, played 379 games for United. I think there's a fair debate about whether him or Dennis Irwin was the best of the sort of modern era Manchester United left backs. Of course, the worrying thing is if Chris Smalling stays till the end of next season, he'll probably beat that number.
Yes, he certainly will. I mean, how many good seasons did Patrice Evra have at Man United?
Well, his last 2 weren't great, were they? I mean, he's played a decent amount of games, but I would say the defensive lapses became quite frequent. Between 2007 and 2010, he was probably the best left back on the planet. I mean, a few other options, of course, but great. So I think he's had 5 very good seasons at United, 3 of them outstanding, a couple not quite as good, and his first one was only half a season.
And then I think there was a bit of a renaissance as well. I think in 12-13 he had that like goal scoring flurry where he kept scoring off every corner, and so there was definitely a dip and then a bit of a recovery.
He got 7 goals in his last 2 seasons for United. Yeah, he got 3 in his previous 6.
That goal against Bayern Munich and the quotes afterwards that he'd kind of prayed and said, I don't want to pray to win the game or anything, but I just want to do something special for the Busby Babes. And then he scored that goal. Like that's really moving stuff. And before the Juventus game, there was a United post on Instagram. I guess it must have been on all the other socials too. Where he was like saying, I really like both teams. And of course, either way, whoever wins, I'll be happy. Or even if it's a draw, I'll be happy. And it goes on for like in that way for some while. And then he goes, kind of looks either way and looks at the camera and goes, but come on, United! So you could see where his sympathies lie in between those two teams. A player who I suspect would probably be rooting for Juventus rather than Manchester United is the next one on the list. Bizarre best friend of Patrice Evra in the world's best ever 3-way bromance, most confusing friendship, Carlos Tevez, who was the third wheel to Ji-sung Park and Patrice Evra, but a welcome third wheel that they formed together a tricycle.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.